the previous problem, we considered an electron in a discharge tube. Let us consider an electron in an atom. Let us consider hydrogen atom. Consider an electron orbiting the nucleus in the first orbit, Bohr orbit of the hydrogen atom. So let us calculate what is the de Broglie wavelength of this electron. Is it justifiable to treat this electron as a particle, as Bohr did? Okay, let us see. So, what is the, first of all, let us find out the speed. What is the expression for the speed? It is c by n into alpha, where alpha is fine structure constant, which is 1 by 137. So, if we substitute that here, n is equal to 1. Okay, if we put n equal to 1, substitute the value of alpha, then the value of V is, we did this calculation in Bohr when we discussed the Bohr atom model. We get this 2.2 into 10 raised to 6 meter per second, which is a non-relativistic speed. Therefore, it is justifiable to use non-relativistic calculation. So, what is lambda? H by P, and instead of P, I can write H by mv. Gamma is nearly 1. Okay, so here V is very small compared to C, so gamma is nearly 1. So momentum I can write mv. Instead of gamma times mv, I can simply write mv, where m is the rest mass of the electron. So substitute the values. So 6.626 10 raised to minus 34. This is 9.11 into 10 raised to minus 31 kilogram, and speed is this much, 2.2 into 10 raised to 6. Okay, we can make an approximate calculation here also. This is 6.6, this is 2.2. So 2.2 and 6.6 will cancel, which we get 3. 3 and 9.1, we can treat this as almost 9. So 3 and 9.1 will cancel. We get approximately 1 by 3 into, this is 10 raised to minus 3. Okay, and this will go to the numerator. We get 10 raised to minus 9. What is this? 0.333 into 10 raised to minus 9, which means 3.33 into 10 raised to minus 10, 3.33 angstrom. If we do an exact calculation, what we get is very close, 3.31 angstrom. So this is a good approximation. So 3.31 angstrom, that is the de Broglie wavelength of the electron in the first orbit of hydrogen atom. Is it justifiable to treat this electron as a particle? What is the dimension of the environment? Let us see. This is the de Broglie wavelength of the electron. What is the dimension of the environment? What is the dimension of the hydrogen atom? It is of the order of, we know that the radius of the first orbit is 0.53 angstrom, half angstrom. So we can say that the dimension is of the order of 1 angstrom. So immediately we see that lambda, de Broglie wavelength, is even greater than the dimension of the hydrogen atom. So we can say lambda is of the order of dimension. It is 3.31 angstrom, this is of the order of 1. So both are of the same order. Okay. Now, when the de Broglie wavelength of a particle is of the order of the dimension of the environment where it is situated, then it's not justifiable to treat it as a particle. We cannot ignore its wave nature. Okay, in Bohr model, remember that Bohr treated electron as a particle. So even though Bohr model was very successful in calculating the energy of the hydrogen atom and the wavelength of the spectral lines of the hydrogen atom, there were limitations in the applicability of Bohr model to mainly for other atoms, for multi-electron atoms, atoms with more than one electron. And even for hydrogen atom, we know that Bohr model has some limitations. It could not predict the intensities of spectral lines. It could not predict the fine structure of spectral lines. It could not explain Zeeman effect, etc. Okay, so these limitations of Bohr model arises from the fact that the wave nature of electron was not taken into account in Bohr model. Okay, so here in the case of an electron in a hydrogen atom, it's not justifiable to treat the electron as our calculations clearly show that since the de Broglie wavelength is of the order of dimension of the atom, we should take into account the wave nature of this electron. It is not justifiable to treat it as a particle. Later, very soon, that is around 1926, this was what done by Schrödinger. Okay, the actual correct quantum theory of atom was put forward by Schrödinger by treating the electron as a wave, as an electron wave. Okay, that's a later story. So let us go to next problem. Okay. Okay, before going to the next problem, let me discuss, consolidate what we have discussed so far. So far we have done 3 problems. We calculated de Broglie wavelength of a macroscopic particle like a cricket ball. Then we considered a small particle like electron, and we calculated de Broglie wavelength in 2 environments. One electron in a discharge tube and next electron in a atom. And we found that in a discharge tube, cricket ball, okay, de Broglie wavelength we cannot measure because it is very small, and in the case of electron in a discharge tube, even though de Broglie wavelength is of the order of angstrom, which is measurable, but in a discharge tube what happens is the de Broglie wavelength is very small compared to the dimension of the discharge tube, so it is justifiable to treat it as a particle, whereas in an atom, de Broglie wavelength and the size of the atom are of the same order, so it is not justifiable to treat it as a particle. So from this examples we can deduce the criterion for a classical system. See, all systems are quantum systems, but in some cases we can have the approximate theory which is classical physics. Okay, we can treat the system as an approximately classical system. What is the criteria for that? If we consider the case of the cricket ball, we know that the cricket ball is a classical system. So, but what makes the cricket ball a classical system? In the case of a cricket ball, what we see is lambda is of the order of 10 raised to minus 34 meter. What about the dimension of a cricket ball? Let us say the radius is of the order of maybe 10 centimeter, of the order, okay? And what is the dimension of the environment in which a cricket ball is moving? Of the order of meter, okay? So the dimension of the environment is of the order of 1 meter. So what we see is that both the dimension of the cricket ball and dimension of the environment in which it is moving, okay, we can say lambda, if you compare lambda with the dimension of the cricket ball and the dimension of the environment in which it is moving, lambda is very small compared to the size of the ball and the dimension of the environment in which it is moving. Okay, in such a case, if lambda is very small compared to the size of the system or the dimension of its environment, we can treat it as a classical system. An approximate treatment is sufficient. That is the idea. Even though it is a quantum system, we don't have to worry about its wave nature because it is negligibly small. So we can treat it as an approximately classical system. We can treat it as a particle. What about an electron? Electron we considered in 2 different environments, right? In a discharge tube and also in an atom, right? In a discharge tube, what we found is lambda is of the order of 1 angstrom. Dimension of the discharge tube is of the order of 1 meter, right? lambda is very small compared to dimension, so that means it can be treated as a classical system. In an atom, what we found? Lambda is of the order of 1 angstrom, dimension of the environment is of the order of 1 angstrom, lambda is of the order of dimension, sometimes greater than the dimension. It means it is a strictly quantum system. Remember that this and this are all electron in the discharge tube is a quantum system, a cricket ball is a quantum system, but in these cases it is justifiable to treat them as a classical system, as an approximate system. Even though it's exactly a quantum system, we can treat it as a classical system because of this condition. So what is the condition for a classical system? What is the validity of a classical system? When the de Broglie wavelength of a particle is very small compared to the dimension of this environment, that particle can be treated as an approximately classical system, even though exactly it's a quantum system. Okay, that is the criteria. Okay, so let us move on to the next problem. So the next problem, let us consider an electron in an electron microscope. Now, electron microscope is a device in which we make use of the wave nature of electron beam. In an electron microscope, an electron beam is accelerated between a cathode and anode, and it is used to make some image of a microscopic object. Okay. So instead of visible light, we are using an electron beam to see the image, to measure the image. Okay, so we will discuss the working of electron microscope later, but let us look at this. Here, electron beam is accelerated between cathode and anode using an accelerating voltage, and the typical accelerating voltage in an electron microscope is of the order of 100 kilovolt. Okay, it may go up to 400 or 500 kilovolt, but it is of the order of 100 kilovolt. So let us consider an electron beam accelerated through a potential difference of 100 kilovolt and calculate its de Broglie wavelength. And we are going to calculate it in two ways. Let us use non-relativistic calculation as well as relativistic calculation, and let us see how much, by what percentage the non-relativistic calculation is in error. Naturally, the correct calculation is relativistic calculation. In the previous three problems we were using non-relativistic calculations, and it was justified because in each case we see that in the case of cricket ball the speed is very small compared to speed of light in vacuum. Then the next problem was an electron accelerated through 150 volt, right? Then the kinetic energy was 150 electron volt. It is very small compared to rest energy. If kinetic energy is very small compared to rest energy, it's a non-relativistic. We can use non-relativistic calculation, approximate calculation. And in the third problem, we calculated the wavelength of an electron in the first Bohr radius, first Bohr orbit, where the velocity was 10 raised to 6 meter per second. Velocity is 10 raised to 6 meter per second, which is very small compared to speed of light in vacuum, 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So there also a non-relativistic calculation is justifiable. But here, if the accelerating voltage is 100 kilovolt, what is the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is 100 kilo electron volt, right? Right. If the accelerating voltage is 1 volt, kinetic energy is 1 electron volt. So accelerating voltage is 100 kilovolt, kinetic energy is 100 kilo electron volt. What is the rest energy of the electron? 0.511 mega electron volt, right? 0.511 mega electron volt. So for comparison, let us use the same unit. So let us convert this into kilo electron volt. So mega means 10 raised to 6 electron volt. So if you use 10 raised to 3 for converting this 3 decimal points, we get 511 into 10 raised to 3 electron volt, which is 511 kilo electron volt. You can see that the kinetic energy is 100 kilo electron volt, rest energy is 511 kilo electron volt. Both are of the order of 100 kilo electron volt. This is 500, this is 100. The order of magnitude is 100 kilo electron volt. So since kinetic energy and rest energy are of the same order of magnitude, we have to use, it's a high speed particle, we have to use relativistic calculation. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we will use both non-relativistic calculation as well as relativistic calculation, and definitely relativistic calculation is accurate. There will be some error in the non-relativistic calculation. We want to calculate the percentage of error. Okay. So first let me use non-relativistic calculation. Right. In the non-relativistic calculation, how do you do it? Kinetic energy, we will take it as p square by 2m, which means momentum is square root of 2m into kinetic energy. Okay, which means lambda is equal to h by p, that is h by square root of 2m into kinetic energy. But here, this we have done before. I am just recapping. 2m into, what is the kinetic energy here? Here the charged particle q is accelerated through a potential difference v. But our charged particle is electron, and in the case of electron, this formula can be specially rewritten as root of 150.45 divided by v angstrom. We need only to substitute this accelerating voltage. So what is the accelerating voltage here? 150.45, 100 kilovolt, right? So 100, we have to substitute this value here in volt. Okay, so 100 into 10 raised to 3 volt. Okay, this calculation I will write here. The value here is 3.879 angstrom. Sorry, not angstrom, picometer. 3.879 into 10 raised to minus 12 meter. That much picometer. Okay. So that is a non-relativistic result. Okay. Let us use now relativistic calculation. And put this aside. Lambda is equal to 3.879. For relativistic calculation, let me simply put a suffix here. Okay, this is, next is relativistic calculation. Let me put a suffix here to show that it is relativistic. And earlier we have obtained an expression for relativistic, expression for lambda hc by square root of, in terms of kinetic energy. So kinetic energy into kinetic energy plus 2 times rest energy. An expression like this. What is kinetic energy? 100 keV. Okay, so we can do this calculation. Hc is 1240 MeV Fermi. But since I am going to substitute here in terms of keV, let us write the numerator also in terms of keV. So 10 raised to 3 keV femtometer. So of MeV, I am writing 10 raised to 3 keV. Okay. Square root of 100 keV, 100 plus 2 into mc square, also let us convert into keV, which is 511 keV. And here it is keV. So it is keV square here, right? Because 100 keV is there, and these two are also in keV. So keV into keV is keV square. So keV square, if you take outside, you have kilo electron volt. Kilo electron volt will cancel. Okay, so you have a femtometer here. Now if you do all these calculations, okay, your result will be 3.702 into 10 raised to minus 12 meter. This is a non-relativistic. So you can see that the relativistic wavelength is less than non-relativistic wavelength. So non-relativistic value is higher. So there is an error. Okay, there is a plus error here. So what is the percentage of error? So we can calculate it here. Therefore, the percentage of error we can do that like this. Lambda minus lambda r, change in value divided by actual value, which is correct value is relativistic formula, into 100. Okay, so if we substitute again, this is lambda r. If we substitute the value, what you get is 4.78%. Okay, so the non-relativistic result is 4.78% higher. The error is 4.78% higher. So this is the idea. So now let us just consolidate how we do a relativistic calculation, how we do a non-relativistic calculation. What we have to do is compare kinetic energy of the particle with rest energy. Okay, in our discussion always m means rest mass, mc square means rest energy. Total energy is always gamma times mc square. Okay, now one possibility is that kinetic energy is very small compared to rest energy. If kinetic energy is very small compared to rest energy, it is non-relativistic. An example is, what is that? An electron accelerated through 150 volt. An electron accelerated through 150 volt. What is the kinetic energy? 150 electron volt, and 150 electron volt is very small compared to rest energy of 0.511 MeV. Okay, this is an example here. Now, if it is non-relativistic, then you can express the non-relativistic expression for kinetic energy is this, where m is the rest mass, and from this P is equal to square root of 2m into kinetic energy. So what is the expression for lambda? H by P, which is h by square root of 2m into kinetic energy. This is a non-relativistic expression for lambda. Now, on the other hand, if kinetic energy is greater than or of the order of rest energy, just like in the previous problem, that is 100 keV electron. Okay, that means kinetic energy is 100 keV, and 100 keV is of the order of 511 keV, which is rest energy. Okay, so in this case, the situation is relativistic. We have to definitely use relativistic calculation. Here also we can use relativistic calculation, but here approximate non-relativistic calculation is sufficient. Now, in relativistic calculation, what is the expression for kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is total energy minus rest energy. Okay, that is what is total energy? Pc whole square plus mc square the whole square. This is total energy minus rest energy. This is the expression for kinetic energy. If you use this expression for kinetic energy, then lambda becomes hc divided by square root of kinetic energy into kinetic energy plus 2 mc square. This is the relativistic expression for de Broglie wavelength. And in this, from this relativistic expression, you can get non-relativistic expression if we use this limit. If kinetic energy is very small compared to rest energy. Okay, this we have shown earlier. If kinetic energy is very small compared to rest energy, this kinetic energy you can neglect. So hc by kinetic energy into 2 mc square, one c will cancel, we get this, where m is the rest mass. So this is the idea. When you get a kinetic energy of a particle is given, in these two examples I have used electron, but it can be any particle. If kinetic energy of a particle is given, and whether we have to choose whether a relativistic or non-relativistic calculation, always compare kinetic energy with rest energy. Okay, if kinetic energy is very small compared to rest energy, you can use an approximate non-relativistic calculation. On the other hand, if kinetic energy and rest energy are comparable, you have to use relativistic calculation.